Thank you so much. And Candida, it's a wonderful opportunity for me, and it's an honor to be part of this speech that your university has been giving. So what I'm going to do now is share my screen. I guess you can see this, right? Yeah. All right. Wonderful. Again, thank you so much for the introduction. Um, I want to talk today about how organizations use marketing strategy to create value that is focusing on sustainability. And that's a topic that is quite, uh, what should I say, um, cool these days, because a lot of people are, especially youngsters like yourself, are now moving in the direction of, okay, what can we do to create a more sustainable environment? And that's what I want to do. So I'm not going to talk about the traditional marketing, the 4 Ps that you may be familiar with, which is product, price, place, and promotion. I want to first, basically, let me just show you what I want to do is I want to talk very briefly about who is making the decisions with respect to strategy. And that's ultimately the board in an organization, including the president director, the Dirut, in an organization. And then I want to talk briefly for 10, 15 minutes about what is strategy and marketing strategy, how to develop something that can be used to create such value in organizations. And then the real, I think, focus points for today is to relate these issues of strategy to what I've called wise decision making, or the fourth point, which is related, how sustainability now today is expressed through ESG, which stands for environment, social, and governance. And that is why I want to start with governance, because in a way, sustainability is only possible if the foundations of your house are in order. And the foundations of a house, in this case, an organization, a business, is what we call good corporate governance practices, or how a board is taking responsibility and accountability for what they're doing. So let's start straight away. Now, again, I'm not the usual professor, in a sense that I was very fortunate to have had my own company for many years in Southeast Asia. I've been living in Southeast Asia, in Indonesia, for about 34 years. In fact, my wife is Indonesian. So that explains, of course, why I consider Indonesia as my second home, if not my first home. Um, and so I will provide you a few international examples, and probably, if time allows, I also want to share some practical examples that I was able to experience in Indonesia. All right, let's just start straight away. Um, so, what is or who takes the decisions with respect to strategy? And so the first thing, let me just put it on for you. Um, the first thing is that a board is always taking the final decisions. And that's true for a university as yours, as it is for any organization. And governance is really about steering an organization away from risks into or towards opportunities. Or literally, it's derived from Latin, which says steering the ship away from rocks into open waters to explore opportunities. And so that is what corporate governance in a nutshell is about. A board is really about, okay, where do we want to go? What It's about the future, and the future is uncertain. You have to make decisions. You have to invest to prepare your organization for the future. And the principles used for corporate governance are fourfold, if you like. One is about transparency. The other one is about fairness. Three is accountability, and four is responsibility. And it's the fourth one that I want to emphasize. Why? Because the theme today is, what kind of marketing strategy can we establish to create more sustainability? And sustainability is directly related to what we call responsibility of the management and the board towards its stakeholders, including their clients, suppliers, employees. Okay. And so if you have a good foundation, if your foundation of the house of your organization is strong, that likely will result in less risk and higher return on invested capital, or profit, as we call it, right? So there is a direct kind of correlation between having good foundations, implying those principles, and the profitability of an organization. Um, Although scientifically, I have to warn you, it is not because you have good corporate governance that you always will have profitability. But there is, and again, I don't want to go in detail, but there is definitely a kind of a correlation that seems to be causal. Okay. Anyway, so important for you to remember is that governance and the board is the one that takes the final decisions, and the money to invest to make products that are going to be more sustainable. Okay. And I'll come to some examples in a minute. Let me just show you the way we basically um, visualize that. So if you look to a board, at the end of the day, it's about, in Indonesia, a double tier board. Yes, you have the commissaris, the non-executive directors, and you have the executive BOD, board of directors, and they work together as a dual board, as an effective board. Without going in detail, which would lead me too much, but if you're interested, feel free to go online, or I provide you the book. We explain there what are the tasks of the board, what are the structures, the composition, the board processes. All that is helping an organization to make the right decisions for a good marketing strategy. So what I'm really saying is, it helps you background, the foundation of how you make those decisions with respect to marketing strategy. So that's all what I wanted to highlight. And the next slide, as you can see here, is, and particularly what you need to focus on is the number 1 and 2 at the left-hand side here. If you can see my cursor, it means that at the end of the day, a board wants to make sure that the organization makes money. That's fair. But today, making money is necessary but not sufficient. So today, it is clear that a lot of stakeholders, including investors, want an organization to do more than just provide profitability. And that is summarized in the notion of ESG, the number 2 there, left up, as you can see here. And that is really, in a nutshell, what sustainability is about. How are you going to have a strategy, a marketing strategy, that helps you to create products or services for which the board and top management is responsible, and services and products that are being more sustainable? A typical example is today, you see very clearly that we are in an energy crisis for a couple of reasons. But prior to, let's say, the political issues that are causing this crisis, we have seen that in the automotive industry, for instance, there is already in Europe and the US a movement away from gasoline towards electrification or electric cars. Now, that really, we have to say, is partially, not completely, but partially thanks to Elon Musk with the Tesla, who basically was clearly making a nice car that is indeed not polluting. And that's reflected, if you like, in the so-called environmental issues, meaning CO2 emission is causing our climate change, unfortunately, and that seems to now be proven scientifically. And I've lived in Jakarta for many, many years. You all know, yeah, the pollution is really horrendous. So is the traffic, and so these are issues that we need to address, and organizations should be part of the solution and not be part of the problem. So that's basically the, the team, if you like, that I want to emphasize. Oh, that brings me then second. So that was the introduction, just to indicate that the foundations needs to be in order. And the foundations mean a board needs to think not just about how to